We got game number 4 underway as we're having some fun here. Team Freedom, as I mentioned, needs to reel it back, get in control of this series, but Heroes Hearth finds themselves up 2-1. So we go to Kursalo.
Got good news for you, J-Hal. Kursalo, one of the better Twin Blades battlegrounds. Less minions to worry about, not too macro-focused, worry about those skirmishes. Have a lot of boss threat capabilities on your own. Maybe a two-man bossing backdoor opportunity like we were talking about with the Illidan's, you know, the Butchers. But what I just said is the one thing that I want to see. If we're going to go down that avenue once more, I want myself the Illidan rather than the Twin Blades this time. I want to see.
The last thing you said was Butcher, so I was like, that's what you want?
We've got ourselves that today. We've gotten 2 out of those 3. We might as well double down on the triple down, if you will.
Double down and boss. There's a hero that double bosses better than anybody,
Hanzo.
And it's Hanzo. And the way that we've seen draft priority throughout the day, Hanzo has been let through. So for Heroes Hearth, maybe having some fun, but still playing seriously. They're a top-notch team. They've qualified for BlizzCon, but they can still, you know, win this series out. It's always good to have that practice. Team Freedom, they still have all the cards on the table. They need to play. The Hanzo pick comes in. Depending on the priority of the draft, the Hanzo comes in. They can play around that, get that big boss value, the double boss potential with the Hanzo. So there's still a lot they have draft-wise that can work for them.
And expecting that maybe that Twin Blades was a little bit more, you know, being comfortable, getting a little bit wild. I don't know how comfortable and drastic Heroes Hearth is going to get with it, but this is one of those battlegrounds that if you're going to go for the, you know, backdooring or something a little bit more creative with maybe looking for an early key play, this is going to be one of the backgrounds to see that. So I almost wonder if we're going to get that level of play here from Heroes Hearth. They didn't seem to get that wild. Twin Blades is not that far off from the meta.
I agree.
So I actually feel like that was not for me, like the, oh, they're throwing everything out the window here.
Yeah.
So I'm still looking at this like we might get a very standard draft, but if we do go wild, this is a great battleground to do it.
Yeah, I mean, we had a little fun with that, but Dread and I talk about this behind the scenes that we're not like thinking that Twin Blades is the craziest thing in the game. There's some merit to it.
Yeah, there's definitely some highs and lows. The same way I talk about Illidan, right? Both of them, I think, in the right circumstances can be extremely problematic. I think maybe Illidan a little bit more in most cases than even the Twin Blades variant still in modern day. But yeah, it's not far enough off. I think a lot of people discredit it so quickly. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I actually am more likely to discredit a Taunt variant than I am a Twin Blades variant, just to give an idea of how much I actually believe in that. That being said, variants never really had a forefronted place within our meta.
Except for there was like 2 to 3 weeks. You remember the taunt variant with Ragnaros Smash?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, you just give you the Soul Sphere Smash,
Ooh.
1 shot, 1 kill when the bonus damage on the center was...
With Tyrande in the meta, we mentioned old setups. You get the stun, you get the follow-up. Taunt plus that,
it's not too
it could
shabby.
come out.
The only problem I have with that approach to the game when it currently stands is, like J-Hal, when I talk about the Tyrande, always the first thing comes out, okay, you have an advantage when it comes to your kill potential, you have crowd control follow-up coming up from your support role, your wave clear has to be a concern. If you go into Varian and a Tyrande, you only amplify that problem that much more. You just picked a absolutely crowd control-less warrior, or excuse me, not crowd controls, but a wave clear-less warrior, right? Murden, he's not known to thrive in the wave clear, but at least he's got an AoE thunderclap. He can throw a couple, like, it's not unacceptable. Like, when you look at a non-twin bladed variant, it is the worst. It is worse than watching Uther with that light bringer just slapping minions.
It's like I'm stacking.
Yeah. Are we having fun yet? My goodness.
Well, Heroes Hearth will have first pick. Hanzo's available. They'll stick to the norm. They'll take the Hanzo away, denying that away from Team Freedom. Very strong pick on this battleground. Greymane and a Nubrak going to what Team Freedom loves to do, Dreadnought. We've seen them execute this in the early parts of the game. You use the Nubrak, you spawn some beetles. You spawn a beetle every time you use an ability. E, W, Q, eats all the tower shots, allowing Greymane to move forward and get some of that early Worgen damage in. Potentially more, a third member behind that with support. We'll see if that ends up being a Kharazim.
If you want to match this playstyle and say, well, Team Freedom, if you want to offlane pressure, things like the Illidan would stand out even more so in these type of situations. Other answers to that could, in fact, be things like the, what was I going to indicate here? I don't remember. I had
You're talking about the Illidan and moving forward to try and trade out on the
yeah, taking
damage.
the race. I was going to say another hero that's great at that actually was Zarya. That was another one. Even though she's not within the meta that much, going field of heat and off-lane pressure. J-Hal, I know we've gotten a little bit of North American Arthas here and there, but maybe I'm just on the Illidan hype train too seriously, but for me, I look at that and I go, that's a denial so they don't have to ban it out in the next ban phase, and Whiteman's not too shabby with an Illidan either.
Yeah, Arthas, though, when it was solo damage dealer Greymane before we start, when it was double support, something like that. And remember, this is physical armor, all the base armor taken away from a lot of ours. There's going to be a Brightwing, interesting, and a Genji. So potential Brightwing bomb, but it was, Arthas was used to counter a Greymane, because it's like, Greymane, that's fine. Your human damage, it's not that threatening. Cursed Bullet, maybe, but the minute you move into my territory, into melee, Arthas says, welcome to my world, and slows down your autos for days. So there is that good counter, and Genji is a dive initiator. Icebound Fortitude for Arthas. It does do well to sustain against this style of play.
The Brightwing pickup as a response there. We get the variant again. And a Murden, triple warrior.
It's got to be Haymaker.
Give me a moment
there's
here.
The Brightwing.
All right, if we get any talent deviation though, above all else, I want the Syndra. I'm just saying, if we're doing this to be a little bit more fun and not a immediate Heroes Hearth Esports responding to the fact that they don't need to give too much concern, they are not going that wild off the meta, right? Triple Warrior, actually, especially if you look internationally, has shown up a little bit more than I think maybe most people, especially if you only watch North America, would probably expect there. I think it's fair to assume that it will be the Twin Blade or Colossus Smash playstyle once more here. But I really like that. Hey, if you're going to take that Greymane off race, we're willing to take the boss, Syndra Ghost, and just be like, all right, you want to race? Let's race.
With the boss.
Just put on the pants, send out the dragon, and call it a night.
It's better than the backpack reference.
Yeah, you know, shout out to Heroes Hearth Esports Crowan for letting me know how fast I dropped that reference, but got a tweet immediately after.
The Hanzo, regardless of the rest of the comp, we've seen Heroes Hearth in the past. If you are unfamiliar with some of their past drafts, when it was Battlefield of Eternity, they would go double warrior, double support, Hanzo.
Yeah.
That was in Hanzo's supreme heydays, still strong on Battlefield of Eternity, but this is a map that caters to, if we keep the scatter arrow value on Cursed Hollow is tremendous. There's so many terrain walls to bounce that off of, and then the double boss. When you go scatter arrow build, Hanzo does it better than anybody, and if you can protect the Hanzo, then that's something that Heroes Hearth can play around.
And then here for Freedom, the Brightwing pickup, compared to a lot of what we got out of yesterday, I feel like is a little bit more fitting into the Arthas. When we got the Brightwing pickup, that was before we knew a Varian and a Murden were going to get selected, right? So when you look at just the Arthas and you're assuming that to be the primary and you get a secondary, Arthas is one of the best matchups for Brightwing. When you're a Brightwing, you're like, I'm going to die. I'm in a bad spot. I'm really concerned. Arthas, your polymorph really good at making sure he dies. That's one of his biggest vulnerabilities. He wants to get on top of you, stay on top of you. Emerald win all day. He can't interrupt it. He's only got a snare. It is legitimately one of the most carefree warrior matchups for Brightwing, and that is one of the first things you have to consider when looking towards her playstyle itself. So it got a little bit more dour, though, as the variant and things got picked up here.
It's crazy to think, because it's been so long. I mean, we're talking old school matchups, Brightwing versus Arthas, and
that feeling when like heroes I played competitively are like the matchup information is still somehow relevant.
It's those stories where it's like back in my day,
I know.
and then it's like, wait, well, I guess it's here again. I took a peek at that. We'll get into the game in a moment. As I think we're about to go in. Homicidal will be on the Hanzo this game. Crowan onto Murden. I've watched his stream. He's got a few accounts he plays on, and Murden being one of those, I've seen him frequent on from time to time when he does play the warrior role.
If we look way back at his entire competitive career, during Gale Force Esports, when they were having struggles before, you know, Crone was the problem, if you will, in that kind of time frame, that actually was him playing warrior, and he was known as pretty much only a Murden in that warrior role. So
and then they would have Equinox on like an ETC for the global.
Yeah, and so it puts it in a position where even though we get this deviation, it really is another case of like, oh, Crowan playing one of those heroes that he has been very standout within the past. And if you ever watch how good he is at hitting Seeker missiles, imagine if that's just a Stormbolt.
Dread, you have made a case for auto attack Arthas in the past. We'll get a slightly different level one here. So increase the mana, it's restored by 4 to a maximum of 40, and its damage by 4.
Is that to a maximum of 40? It scales.
You be scaling.
You be scaling hard on the Arthas. It is going to be cool to see how that kind of works as this game moves forward. But I'm feeling like that Arthas punch is going to be hurting. When you stack that with, I believe it's the 16. It's been a long time since my off-meta Arthas builds have been the case here. But we'll be looking into that. But you can actually move into a double passive build on Arthas and get a large amount of single target bursts, I believe, after his rework long ago. But other than that here, when it comes to the playstyle, Jayhal, one thing that we do have to talk about, yesterday we got examples of it, compositionally speaking, with the Brightwing pickup. But I was wondering if we were going to see the Brightwing bomb, and we didn't. So is this going to be a Brightwing bomb here today?
Yeah, we got the blink heal previously, which worked out great. If you did not catch that series yesterday, Akaface, known for being a Brightwing player, put on an incredible performance between a couple of games yesterday. Dread was highlighting one of the plays that he made on Dragonshire. It's just some of the complexities of playing that hero and how to play it. And it's hard to find anybody really better than what we saw from Akaface.
And here, yeah, looking into it a little bit more, identifying that, yeah, they have the opportunity on the Arthas to move later into, at 16, it's Frostmourne feeds, giving you essentially 2 stacks of the Frostmourne stacking that you get at level 1. As the game moves on, for like a Brightwing, if you double passive into her, you pretty much one-shot her. And one of the cool things also with Arthas' passive is it's an auto-attack reset. So you can very reliably use that as a counter, you know, with your level 4 and depending what 7 we get, which I'm expecting it to be that auto-attack focus here, as we got ourselves Icy Talons there at level 7, or level 4. I'm not going to lie, Jayhal, today feels like the North American commentary dream. I got myself, you got yourself the Butcher, I've got myself the Twin Blades variant, and now I got an auto-attack Arthas. The only way this gets better is if it's Syndragosa. And quickly, you know, maybe see some of the downsides there. Not so much maybe the Arthas as it was great rotations there from Freedom. But
well, that's why I really like the Malthael pickup. I mean, Malthael does very well against a lot of these warriors, and you could conceivably go into Tormented Souls. Last Rites is very good at taking down an individual warrior. We'll see if we get the Cursed Bullet or whether we get the Go for the Throat on those resets. There's reset potential between Go for the Throat, the Genji on the Swift Strike, and getting the cooldown reduction. We even have the Polymorph talent at level 4, getting the extra damage on targets that you poly, so furthering into that single target, as this is where Twin Blades does really well.
Getting that siege damage out, but Jayhal, the Malthael pickup here is going to be problematic for the composition of HeroesHearth Esports. White main, AoE supporting and healing. The Twin Blade variant with post 7 having the opportunity to get that individual heal. I'm assuming we're going to get a Rune Tap based on the build out from Ishbu already so far. Those are all single target healing. Malthael just walks up, has the opportunity to remove that healing for 4 seconds by 50%. If that's timed effectively, it could be tough.
There's the dive in. Hami being tracked down by Lutano. The heal's keeping Hami alive, but he is stuck here. No second agility. BBJ is going to be tracked down. Lutano and team coming in. We have the trade out on the kill on to Greymane. Zugrug trying to get away, just has his burrow in time, and Nasmus is ripping the souls out of that. Crowan tracking down Lutano. It is a bloodbath as McIntyre on top of Nasmus. This is wild here in this mid-skirmish.
I love Arthas variants so much together. Every single time the Frozen Tempest hits anybody. Ishbu with Icy Talons Rune Tap build, he self-sustains all day if he can auto. Plus his passive pickup, as the game moves on, he's going to get that much better. Varian has to worry about nothing because you're just constantly slowing people through the Frozen Tempest. It is a legitimate, you have to fight those two and be able to out-trade them through crowd control and damage, or they're the ones killing you.
Well, it's really interesting because the Anubarak build is strictly built to try and get away from that style of play. The level 4, getting the extra movement speed when you have that hardened carapace, your shield, and level 7, getting the cooldown reduction on that. Arthas, with that, it's a fast tick ability, so you get the cooldown reduction up to 3 seconds, very easy to get. So you have that capability of the added movement speed, but having to adapt your build for that style of play is so unique, Dread.
And also, I think the playstyle is going to have to adjust as well, because I think in that last fight, we saw the difference between this build on the Arthas and the impact that has in the game compared to the later ones. Is Arthas in the past is a hero that's more, you know, if you get the CC outside of the Icebound Fortitude time frame, / you get the Icebound Fortitude and find a way to get the crowd control while Army of the Dead's out, you can secure the kill in that window, and then you find yourself the ability to really just dominate the team fight. As it currently stands with this build, you need to be able to trade into the Arthas, and Arthas wins a lot of these matchups. It's even though RuneTap's not the monster it used to be, shout out to the 7% it used to stand at.
Oh.
I mean, it was.
This is about to get wild. 10 here picked up. Do we get Syndragosa? They might make a play on middle keep. It's Syndragosa.
Here we go, baby!
And McIntyre and team with that Twin Blades will go in. Krillin goes in for the dive. Nasmus with the sidestep, and they are going to race this as we see Team Freedom. They're pushing down the bot lane with their boss. A Greymane and an Ubrak will go in. It's still locked down. They have the camp here, and this is a race at 6 minutes in. I don't know if it will go to the core, but you can believe that both of these teams know what's at stake here as they both look to take down a keep here.
They're going to go.
7 minutes in.
They're going to go for the core. I think at this point in time, I like to see them risk that positioning. Yes, McIntyre moves up. The Dragon Arrow goes through. The 3-man Howling Blast. They need to get the reset. There is a great Emerald Wind comes through. Lutano looking for a reset. He's not going to find it yet. As Homicidal survives. Subgra comes in with the charge. And look at HeroesHearth Esports health bars crumble apart in J-How. The whole time, Greymane split pushing off on the side, but Ishbu turns it around there with McIntyre with that self-sustain. Now focus on to Genji. Oh my, you can see the self-sustain there from the Arthas and the Varian really pay
Here we
off.
go, we're turning it around. McIntyre's going back in. He's like, I got Ishbu here. Ishbu's coming in, but Ishbu's gonna fall. McIntyre trying to trade out. He's gonna fall. Nazma's able to survive. Lutano's gonna turn this around. BBJ, he's gonna be the next to fall, but all hell is breaking loose in this game, and I couldn't help but be more excited here.
I love this game so much. The fact that we got everything of the like with the Syndragosa, the Greymane split push with the boss and just taking the race here, it comes at a slight deficit. The cost of the deaths afterwards, experience-wise, setting Freedom miles ahead when looking at the experience. And the biggest struggle is the fact that Syndragosa went through the mid lane. Mid lane is by far the least probable kill potential, lethal in all of Cursed Hollow. So they are not having a keep down in a boss lane is really going to set back HeroesHearth Esports. And because they have no fort down on either side, it's not like you can see that, okay, let's backdoor with the Syndragosa towards the keep later on. Yes, they can go for that play, but positionally speaking, Freedom would just backdoor to the core. And so it's a tough spot here for HeroesHearth.
It's one thing that, as a viewer, HeroesHearth has loosened the reins a little on their draft. Make no mistake about it, they qualified for BlizzCon. They don't have a whole lot else to play for. They're playing hard, but they're having fun with their draft. Dragon Arrow hit right as they come in onto that Brightwing bomb, but Crowan, he's in trouble. They're trying to track him down, but BBJ will get the heal. Given this chaotic playstyle, there's a lot to be said, but they're actually making very good calls in their decision-making. That mid lane push was HeroesHearth saying, we got a Twin Blades variant, we're going to adapt on the fly, but Team Freedom's response, it's chaotic, don't get me wrong, but some of the plays being made, it's still HGC level, even if it is a little crazy.
Yeah, I very much agree with you here. And now the 13 power spike is going to pick up. We do get the armor shred there for Ishbu at 13. And the health self-sustain coming out from HeroesHearth Esports. They get the debuff. They land the Stormbolt as the Cocoon actually comes out inevitably and already dropped. McIntyre's the focus. Last Rites and Emerald Wind are enough to get it. Syndragosa comes out. Nasmus going to start the channel, but Zelgrug is the focus for HeroesHearth. Crowan stops the channel, and Nasmus now gets lashed in 1-for-1 here in these teams.
And Lutano, he's trying to trade out here as he's putting the damage on. Switch strike going through. Lutano making plays. The Death Coil not enough to take down Lutano. Crowan trying to walk away, but in comes Yoda as they get the takedown, and Lutano is able to agility away as BBJ not able to trade out on that takedown. It is chaos, and it is going to be all 5 members down here. BBJ is going to go. HeroesHearth will fall here. Well, will they? BBJ somehow surviving, but Yoda cleans up. It is a 5-for-1 trade in favor of Team Freedom.
Yeah, this is a major setback now that the curse is available for a long period of time for Freedom and that they will have the 3-level lead, a major talent tier advantage. HeroesHearth Esports is going to have to answer a tough question, and it brings back to the Syndragosa race over mid versus bottom. That is when we're going to have the boss spike plays come in here for both teams. And even if HeroesHearth trades out and says, will Syndragosa threaten elsewhere, it doesn't matter. All it takes is Team Freedom picking up their bottom boss, sending the Greymane over, and they have a threat. So, if anything, HeroesHearth should be looking more for a fight over bottom boss than that of top.
Yeah, and that's very important. I think Team Freedom is trying to occupy their time in one area before they move to another. And they did that early in the curse. This is one of those rare occasions, I think it's in coordinated play, where it's like, oh, what the curse is up, we shouldn't be getting a boss. But this is a time where they're trying to make a two-handed play where you get them in one area, keep their attention in another. In HeroesHearth, if they give up that bottom boss, it's only an 11-minute boss. But Dreadnought, that is enough when there's no keep in the way for a team like Team Freedom to go in and execute.
But one of the better positives, I would say, about Syndragosa specifically is, yes, it does function much like the Black Arrows of Sylvanas, but it is one of the best chasing capability tools in the entirety of Heroes of the Storm, even more so when you talk about Absolute Zero at level 20 upgrade. Boss is picked up from both sides. And if you're HeroesHearth, you wait till you get around the keep roughly, and you Syndra pass, and you use that chase, you use that slow to really set up this fight.
Well, Team Freedom was even managed to pick up the Siege Camp, so it's going to be a very difficult defense here for HeroesHearth as the boss plus Siege Giants plus Catapult are going to be approaching. Here comes Syndragosa. There's the lockdown. There's the potential kill.
They get it!
And that's going to be the first one on to Malthael. He's going to go down. McIntyre will release BBJ from the cocoon. And it's still a 4 versus 5. McIntyre trying to track it down, seeing if they can get a kill. Emerald Win will buy some time.
But they did enough to stall out the game, at least for now, as long as HeroesHearth doesn't lose anybody. If they throw down the Howling Blast, Lutano trying to move in with the reset. Scarlet Aegis is going to be dropped. McIntyre healing, kiting, barely keeping himself alive. Lutano clips it with the Dragon Blade for reset 1 as the boss made its way to the core. The lashes from BBJ come out, but there is the polymorph as the shielding on the core is gone.
They might hold. It's only 88%. The boss not strong enough. McIntyre and team have somehow held. Crowan trying to survive will dodge the swift strike from Lutano, and HeroesHearth, through all of it, have managed to come back. They're on the 16 talent here. McIntyre is not done yet as he has that charge cooldown. There's the slow, the healing reduction, but Lutano had a swift strike available.
Jayhow, there is a big power spike moment too, as long as Team Freedom doesn't get to fully recollect with the fact that that tribute's about to spawn positionally in favor of HeroesHearth Esports. They have the 16 talents here now for themselves. They've been able to clear out this bottom lane to worry about any of the catapult pressure they may be enduring, and now they have an opportunity to pick themselves up a curse. If they get a curse, they need to restore balance back into this game. As we know, there are no bosses available for a long while. This is essentially the kind of Hail Mary moment here from them. So much so, Freedom, they're afraid. They do not want to commit to it. They are not willing to interest.
They're going to pick up the camps to try and keep those pushes. Even the catapults, you have to remember, are cursed. So despite having catapults in the lane, it does not do anything for the defense. You mentioned in the previous game, Twin Blades Varian is one of the ultimate sieging tools in the game. The amount of damage and sustain he can put out in such a short period of time is colossal. And we'll see if HeroesHearth can make a push, maybe neutralize a keep of their own.
But one thing to consider is when you take Syndragosa and Curse Hollow, and you get a curse,
it's like, well, I don't use it.
You've got about one of the, yeah, you're like kind of like, well, that's the main purpose of this for the most part until you get the 20 upgrade. So here's the siege for HeroesHearth Esports, focusing on the top half here, securing this top keep in this time frame. 25 seconds to make sure they get that Stormbolt going to be thrown out. Inevitable end already used, I believe, there from Team Freedom. Dragon's Arrow goes through. McIntyre tries to go in. They get the lashes. They get the chain. They throw down the Syndragosa. They give the all-in, but the kill isn't there. BBJ actually eats the Aegis, and now we see Yoda going to be the focus. Emerald Wing comes through, but it is too late. They get the kill, and now focus on the key.
There's minions here to absorb the damage because there's only a few seconds left on this curse. It doesn't matter. The damage is here. McIntyre and team are here. Catapults will be approaching in the mid lane in a moment. See if they play around that. Ishbu and team, if they get one more kill, you can bet it's lights out. McIntyre on the core. They've got to try and get the takedown. They're in on BBJ. BBJ survives, but that's going to be the takedown onto the support of Whitemane as Lutano continuing to shred the health bars here of HeroesHearth.
Cyber agility out there from Lutano, not finding a secondary reset is another cleanse used there by Nazmus. Stormbolt landing, a retreat here now from HeroesHearth Esports. No catapults mounting yet on bottom, not too worried about that. So now, once the skirmish ends here, hold on, the turnaround, the bait here through that shrub.
What scatter arrow was insane.
Oh yeah, that was very tense there for a moment. We do get the Frostmourne feeds pick up the double passive use from Arthas. Very high single target burst capabilities from Ishbu if he lands a Howling Blast.
That 11-minute boss was not enough to take down the Heroes Hearth core. It did take some down, but we are seconds, maybe 30 seconds away from the spawning of the bosses. I believe the timing advantage is pretty even.
It's 1 second advantage in favor of Heroes Hearth Esports. That is not enough considering the percentage loss, the 24% loss on the core. That makes up for 1 second. They've got, Freedom has more than a 1 second advantage, and experience-wise, everything in the favor. So right now, Freedom is still in prime position to secure and threaten this game.
Heroes Hearth will try to hold. Nobody has the cursed tribute advantage. It all comes down over the next several minutes about these bosses. And you mentioned Team Freedom has that advantage, and see how they play around it. As Heroes Hearth already looking to maybe get a pick, flank, party bush, something, as Brightwing showing top. Here they go, McIntyre inching forward. There's the Dragon Arrow, there's the collapse, there's gonna be the stun, and there goes the instant blow up. Brightwing not able to make it in time, and Nasmus trying to survive, but he's got everybody on his heels. Nasmus dancing around, surviving much longer than I thought, but that's gonna be a second takedown.
Double boss spawn, 4 seconds out from that tribute.
He had no one can stop death, so he's back, but will it be enough?
Boss started by Heroes Hearth Esports. Crowan misses the Stormbolt onto Zugrug. McIntyre able to dodge the boss stun coming out. Malthel making his way back. Still 30 seconds until Greymane will be here. The lash is the root landing onto Lutano there. He has to switch strike away. No Emerald Wind if they use it here early on here. The boss down, Zugrug up. Will they get the Emerald Wind? They land the Stormbolt. The wind is Value Town.
But they can't afford to die here. It's Trap BBJ and continuous wins. It's going to be a 2-for-2 trade, or excuse me, a 2-for-1 trade. But Lutano coming in. Swift strike. There's going to be the Dragon Blade trying to confirm the kills. We see the fall. That's a 2-for-3 now. Lutano is making magic happen here.
Crowan looking for that heal, though. He gets the heal off of Lutano, dodges the curtain out from Nasmus. 2 catapults through mid. Greymane has to deal with that. And meanwhile, this boss.
Oh, it's going to core.
It is making its way in here. Gonna take some time towards this keep, but then look to end this game. Still 30 seconds, so Hanzo or Whitemane are gonna be here. 24 damage already done. Freedom look like they have what it takes to send us to game number 5.
Well, you're not gonna get any complaints from me. It's the bosses here. And this should do it. It's catapults in the bot lane. Greymane making the rotation as well. And the core 50%. We're going to game number 5. And it has been in wild fashion. 18 kills to 11 to close out this game. And it started from minute number 1, and it did not let up. My goodness. That is some fun Heroes of the Storm to watch.
It was, very much so. And at the very end there, Lutano with the 20 spike opportunities there from them really clutched out that very end of the game, because the Arthas plus the Varian almost had the tools to get that survivability and actually win that final skirmish. And also huge shout out to Collusion. There was a lot of emphasis on making sure he did not get in position for the Emerald Wind. Ate the Stormbolt, still got the continuous wind off.
Yeah, Dreadnought pointed it out right before it happened. It did happen, and we can show it to you again as we see the Brightwing making the play here. Dreadnought, break it down for us.
I mean, Crowan did a really good job. You can see how much emphasis, it's still a while out. Until the boss falls down to about 10%, it's not that big of a threat. But what the biggest thing is Crowan is very afraid of the Emerald Wind, and the whole team should be, very much so. And you see the Stormbolt come out, but just not enough damage to get that. I really like BBJ focusing on Lutano, because I thought that would force an early Emerald Wind Brightwing bomb. But look at the patience from Collusion. Throws down the Polymorph, eats one Stormbolt, calls it a day after this. Just moves up, and with 20 spike, as long as there's no Sanctification, that's 100% Collusion's boss.
Just the amount of follow-up, and then BBJ, the last rites went through.
One thing a lot of people don't realize in that type of situation too, J-How, is those people on the corners kind of getting pushed against the wall, is you have zero control. And for every ounce of the Emerald Wind hitting you, that hits you against those walls. It actually hurts more to get Emerald Winded against a wall than it does to just get raw Emerald Winded at that exact same distance. So
yeah, you get bounced. If it's outside, you just get bounced to an area and you can stand and recompose yourself. Else you're just constantly there.
Really well done by Collusion.
That's wild. This whole series is wild, and we're not done yet. We got one more game, but before we get to that game, we're going to a commercial break. We'll be right back for this epic conclusion. Heroes Hearth, Team Freedom.